just using two operators. First one is a in operator and second one is a not in operator. In operator will in as well as the not in operator both will return logical values, either true or false value. In case of in, if the element is found in the list, it will uh, return a true value. If the element is not present in the list, uh, it will print not false value. So in case of the not in, if the element is found in the list, it will return a false value. If the element is not found, it returns a true value. It is nothing but the negation of in it is, right? They actually, like, even if I apply in on the not in operator, doesn't matter. They don't modify the existing list. It will be there and as it is, but the only thing is that we are searching whether the element is present in the list or not. And if you want to sort the elements of a list, so you can use one more function called as the sort function. A list can hold many items and keeps those items in the order until we do something to change the order, right? As you enter the elements, they will appear in the list as it is, right? If you enter the first element, it will appear in the first index or zeroth index. If you enter one more element, it appears in the second index. If you enter third element, it will appear in the third index, and so on, as long as you don't modify the order of the elements, right? So they will be there in the list as long as you don't modify the ordering. A list can hold many items and keeps those items in the order until you do something to change the order, unless otherwise you make any modification in ordering the list. So these elements will be there in the list as it is. A list can be sorted, that is, you can change the order. It is the sort method, which is basically used to sort the strings. It is going to sort the elements in ascending order list, right? So this sort method means sort yourself, right? Which is, it's going to sort the list. Look at the example: friends equal to Joseph, Glenn, and Sally. So what you do is that you are calling the function. So right, friends dot sort, friends dot sort. So print friends. So what it will do, it will print the value Glenn, Joseph, and Sally, right? The they are sorted in the ascending order, right? G appears before G and S. That's why Glenn will appear first. Then G appears before S. So that's why Joseph will be placed first. Then finally it is Sally. Okay, it actually changes, the sort function actually changes the contents of the list as well, right? That's why it appears that Glenn, Joseph, and Sally. So once you do that, if you want to print any value or element at a given index value, just use the index number, that is the friends of 1. It will print the value as Joseph, right? Because so after sorting, what you have something called as Glenn, Joseph at index number 1, Sally at index number 2. So I'm printing the value at index number 1, it should print it as Joseph, right? So if you like, the list appears, right? The list will be as it is, as the in the order you enter the elements, unless otherwise you change the order, right? The elements in the list will appear as it is, right? One way of changing the ordering is that you can sort the elements of the array using the function called as the sort function. So something like this one, that is a, so using sort function you can sort the elements of the list. And there are some functions, built-in functions, which you can make use with the list. There are number of functions built into Python that takes list as the parameters. They take the uh, list as a parameter, and they will perform the operation. The remember the loops we built, these are much simpler, right? You cannot, instead of using, or you instead of writing the code from scratch, what you can do is that you can make use of the existing library functions and you can work on the things. Let us look at some of the built-in functions that you are uh, using with the list. First one, like, just initialize with a number. There is something called as number, which is a list, contains 6 elements in it: 3, 41, 12, 9, 74, and 15. So what you do is that there is one function called as length of list. The list name is numbers. If you use the built-in function as length, it will print the number as 6, stating there are 6 elements in the list. And to know the last maximum element of the list, use another function called as the maximum of the given list, right? And in all the functions, the numbers or the list is an argument, or list is an parameter which we are passing it, right? The maximum of list, then the list name is numbers. So what it will do is that it will print the value as 74, because among all the 6 elements 74 is the largest one, and it will print the value as 74. And there is another function called as minimum, right, which will print the minimum among all these elements, 6 elements, right? Out of these 6 elements we have 3 which is the minimum one, that will be get printed on the terminal. And sum of numbers, sum is nothing but the sum of all these numbers, right? So what is that? Sum 3, 14, 1, 12, 9, 71, 4 and 15. What you'll get it is 154. And one more thing is that you can combine two built-in functions here. Look at the example here. I have found the sum of the numbers, that is sum of the list, right, divided by the total number of elements in the list, that is 6. That is 154 by 6 is nothing but 25.66, right? These are some of the built-in functions used with the list. Only advantage is that instead of writing the code from scratch, what you can do is that you can make use of the existing built-in functions, so that you can minimize your code length, as well as you can concentrate on the important aspect of your, or the important logic of your program, right? These are the functions, built-in functions. We call it as the length, maximum, minimum, sum, as well as sum. And this is basically used to find the average, but it is making use of the existing two built-in functions, right? And the best friends, strings and the lengths, right? We can make use of the strings and the length, so you can use the things. Look at the one example of the strings here. So what you're doing is that there is one function, we call it as the split, which is going to split a given string into multiple elements, right? As long as there is a, as long as each word is separated by a void space, so we are treating them as one element. Look at one example of the things here. With 3 words, we have 3 words here with space 3 space words, right? When we are applying the rule here, that is stuff equal to abc dot split function. Once you split it, it will split the entire string into 3 words. It is, what is that? 3 words with 3 and words, and these 3 words are nothing but the elements of the list. With one element, 3 is another element, and words is another element, right? So we have something called as with 3 and words. And to know the length of the string, or to know the length of the list, you can use the function the length and the stuff. So 3, it is going to generate it 3. But the split can be applied only when each word is separated by a white space, right? Look at this one. If I don't have any space in between this one, even though if I for call the function called as a split, it will generate only one element. That element is with 3 words without any spaces, right? So that's why you have to make sure that there must be a limiter, or there must be something based on that one you are splitting the values, right? So to know the element at 0th index, we are using print stuff, right? Stuff of 0. So value at index 0, it is with, right? So you have something called as print stuff, which is something like this. So what you with 3 words, so I can use the iteration variable as w and read each element from the list and print it on the terminal. So in this one, so we have w, which is an iteration variable, or the iterative variable, and reading each element from the stuff, which is nothing but a list, and I am printing it on the terminal. In the first iteration, it will print with. In the second iteration it will print 3, and in the third iteration it will print words. So in after third iteration you have read all the elements from the list, so that you have printed on the turn. That is, split breaks a string into parts, produces a list of strings, right? It actually breaks strings into parts that produces a list of strings. We think of these as words, right? Each one is treated as a words. We can access a particular word or a loop through all the words, right? You can access a word or a particular word or loop through all the words using this one. You can access a single word using or by specifying the index of that word, or you can loop it through the entire words or the entire list as well. So this is all about how to combine strings into the list. So here is one more example of the string as well, right? So a lot split into two, split, that is a lot space of spaces here. So you have multiple spaces here, you have multiple spaces. These will be eliminated, and we are considering only four words here: a space lot and of and spaces. Only four words I have it: a lot of spaces here, right? So four words in the list, a lot of spaces, right? And you look at this one: first colon, second colon, sorry, semicolon, and the third. As I told you that there must be a space in between that. Here we don't have any space, so even after splitting it, if you split the things, so you will get something called as first colon, first colon, sorry, semicolon, second semicolon, and third. That is wrong, correct? But the length of the entire list is again 1, right? The length of the entire list is again 1, because we have not actually split into 3 words. To split into 3 words, what you have to do is that you have to specify where the splitting should happen, where the split should happen. By default, the split should happen at the white space. If you want to happen the split at somewhere else, you have to specify the location of the split. Look at the same example but with a different splitting position here. Think equal to line dot split a semicolon, right? The split will happen at semicolon, right? Now once it finds one semicolon, the whatever you have read from the previous semicolon to that one, it will be considered as one element. And like this you have you are going to split the entire string into multiple words, right? So if this one thing equal to line dot split then the semicolon. So what you have, first, second, and third, I have 3 words here. So that 3 words will make the 3 elements of the list. All right, now we can print the value, that is the length of the thing, that is going to print it as 3. It's going to print it as 3 because we have 3 words in the list, right? Print length. When you do not specify delimiter, multiple spaces are treated like one delimiter. Look at this one, we have multiple spaces, right? Even though you have multiple spaces, it is treated as one space, right? And that will be, multiple spaces will be eliminated, and it will be considered only one space. You can specify what the delimiter character to use in the splitting. Here is the delimiter, right? So in the previous case, space is a delimiter, and in this case we are explicitly mentioning the delimiter for splitting, right? In this case, semicolon is the delimiter for splitting, right? And here is one more example of how the splitting happens, right? So f hand is equal to open, right? I have something called as open mbox hyphen short.txt, which is a function that you are doing it, or sorry, which is a file that you are opening it, and we are reading each line from the list. We are reading each from the list, and we are eliminating, or we are shortening the white spaces from the right side. That is right strip, right? Whatever the spaces you have on the right side of the line, they will be stripped off, right? They will be removed, and we're just checking it whether the lines doesn't start with a from or not. If the line doesn't start with from, we are continuing with the next line. We're continuing with the next line. But if it starts with the line, what you are doing is that you are splitting. you're splitting into multiple values. What is that? From is one thing, from is one more, this one, the entire thing is another word, sat is one more, jan is one more, 5 is one more, 09 colon 14 colon 16 another word, and 2018 is another word. How many total words we have it? Can anyone explain me? Can anyone tell me how many words you have? One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 words we have it, right? 7 words we have it, and the delimiter by default it is space. Delimiter by default it is space. This is at index number 0, this is at index number 1, and this is at index number 2, and this is at index number 3, and so on. So now I want to print the value at index number 2. When you look at the index number 2, it is at sat, and it is going to print the value as sat on the terminal, right? In the next iteration, so it will read the next line, it will read the next line. What is that next line? We don't know it, right? It is there in the, like, in the file. So but what we can understand it, it's again split the entire uh, file or the entire line into multiple words, and those multiple words will be searched for a, or split into multiple words. Then what you do is that you are printing the second word from that split words, right, or the split list. So in this case we have seen the, like, the output will be appear something like this. Saturday is the first word that you are seeing it, Friday is the second one. Sorry, in the second line we have Friday, in the third line we have Friday, and in the fourth line we do also have the what you call it as the Friday in the fourth line as well, right? So what do you do is that words equal to line dot split and the words. So what is the output here? From is one word, Stephen dot marker at uct dot ac dot za is another word, sat is the third word, jan is the fourth word, 5, 09, 14 and 16, and last date is 2008. So that is what the output it appears, right? The whole idea is to split the entire string into multiple words. It is string the entire string into multiple words, right? So once it happens, you can do anything you want it, right? Either you can use the existing string or the character, and you or you can use the existing or the built-in functions to perform the operations, right? That is what the whole idea of the split function. And here is one more example how to split at a given location or at a given delimiter, right? So look at this. Sometimes we split a line one way and then grab one of the pieces of the line and split that piece again, right? So look at this one. So once you split it, that is, you get this one, right, from Stephen.market at uct.ac.za, SAT, January, and all the things. These are the words we have. If you split it, you will get all these things. That is from Stephen Market at uct.ac.za and all these things. Now, each word can again be split into multiple words that you can see here. So words is equal to lined out split. Once you split it, you get from as one word, Stephen.market at uct.ac.za another word, sat is the third word, January is fourth word, and 5 is the fifth word, 09, 14, 16 third, fourth, fifth word, and 2018 is the sixth word, right? So what do you do is that I'll take one more word, sorry, one word, I'll extract one word from the list, that is words of one. So what I'll do is that email is equal to words of one. So what it will do is that you're splitting this word at a position called as at a position at a delimiter called as at. Now Stephen.market at uct Stephen.market at uct.ac.za. This is, sorry, Stephen.market at this is one word. Stephen.market is one word. uct.ac.za is the second word, right? The one you, when you do that one, you will get two words, Stephen dot market, and the split happened at the at at which is a delimiter, and uct.ac.za. This is the second word what I had. So if you try to print the value here, that the print pieces of one, right? Pieces is nothing but the, after splitting the word, after splitting word, whatever you have. So so the value at the first index, that is uct dot ac dot za, that will be get printed on the terminal. So what you have understood that the split can be done by default. Okay, the split will happen at a white space, right? At a white space by default. And if you want to specify the delimiter explicitly, you can specify it, right? And in this case we have specified the delimiter value explicitly, right? The semicolon we have specified it. And you can split the split line, entire line, into multiple words as well, that you can do it, right? Using something called as from this is one line, you can split it into multiple words and print it on the terminal. And a splitted line or a splitted word can again be split into multiple words. You can split a word which is already been split into two words, two or more words, into multiple words, right? So you can do that using words is equal to line, right? That you can do it here. So again, in the first line we have split into multiple words here, and we'll take one word from that, one word that is at an index of one, and we again split it, we again split it. So your output appears that Stephen dot market, Stephen dot market at uct.ac.za, you have it, right? Then you are printing it. So the whole idea is that you there is a um, there is a correlation between the strings and the list. Okay, that is what. So this is, so now look at some of the examples with respect to the list. Here is one example for the negative indexing, how to make use of the next negative indexing. So look at this, the my list, which contains five elements in it. PROBE. One first element is P, second element is R, third element is O, fourth element is B, and fifth element is E. So once I do the things, look at the example here. My list minus one, that is beginning from the last character, beginning from the last character, you just read the elements in the backward directions, right? Minus one in the sense it's going to print the value as E. It's going to print the value E in that case, right? And similarly you can do the things here. One more example, that is my list of minus 5, that is beginning from the last index. You just read 5 lines or the five elements backward, so you get something called as a P, right? So this is how you can make use of the negative indexing or the negative indexes, so that you can traverse it in a backward direction, beginning from the last index of the last element of the index, so last element of the list to the end of the list, right? Sorry, beginning of the list. And or there is one more example called as deleting or removing the elements from the list. How to delete or uh, remove elements from the list, right? So here is one function that is called as a delete, which is going to delete an element from the list, right? It is going to remove an element from the list. Here is my list. My list is equal to PROBLEM, right? I have 7 elements, PROBLEM, right? Seven elements I have it. What I'm doing is that I want to delete a particular element, right? So to remove a particular element in the list, what you do is that you just specify the index value, that is delete my list, and the index what you want to delete it. In this case I have specified it as 2. So at 2, the index number 2, it is O, so that will be get deleted. One more thing you can observe here, once the deletion happens here, so all these elements which are on the left side of the right side of the deleted element, they will be shrink, or they will be brought one position on the left side. They will be brought one position on the left side, right? So with that one, so when I delete O here, there is no empty space here. There is no empty space. Instead, what do you do is that all these elements, that is B, L, E, M, they will be pushed one position on the left side. They will be pushed one position on the left side. So you don't any holes here, or you don't find any empty elements here, right? So similarly, you can delete multiple elements by specifying the ranges, right? You can specify the ranges. Now you can see the output here. So I want to delete the elements from 1 to 5. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and all these 5 elements will get deleted, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from the index number 1 to 5, from index number 1 to 5. So that is what, right? So my list, that is PM. Only thing what you left is, so PN, yeah, PNM, right? In this case, 1 is again, sorry, 5 is again exclusive of the list. Exclusive, right? You have to delete it from 1 to 4, right? 1, index 1, 2, 3, and 4. Don't delete the index number 5. So what you left here, P and M. Only 2 elements are left within the list. So P and M. So if you want to delete an entire list, if you want to delete an entire list, what you can do is that you just use the name of the list without having the without having the index. You just specify the name of the list, so it is going to delete the entire list, right? The delete my list, it is going to delete entire list itself, right? The delete my list. So if you try to print the contents of that list, it will generate an error message stating the list is not defined, because list was there earlier. But what you have done is that you have actually deleted it. You have deleted it. That's why it shows you something called as the list is not defined. So that's why it generates an error message. This is how you can make use of the list to print, to delete an element from a list, or a group of elements from the list, or you can delete the entire list itself, right? Doesn't matter how big it is, all the elements in the list will be get deleted, right? So this is how we can use the delete functions to delete all the elements from the list. So look at one more example of how to clearing the contents of a list, right? How to clear it is, it is very much similar to a delete function, right? So it is very much similar to delete function, but actually, what happens in case of the clear, in case of the list, you are physically removing the list from the memory itself. You're physically removing the list from the memory itself, that you can find it from the list itself, right? The list is not defined. Okay, so once you call the function that is delete followed by the list, so it is going to delete the list permanently from the list, from permanently from the memory. But there is something called as a clearing the list, right? It actually clears the contents of the list without physically removing it from the memory. Instead, what it will do is that there is a list, you have it, but that the contents of that list will be set to empty list, right? So look at one example of the clearing the list. Clearing the list, my list is equal to PROBLM. Again, we have 7 elements in the list. So I want to delete a particular character in the list, or a particular element in the list. You can do that. My list dot remove the element name you're supposed to specify, p you're supposed to specify. So what you have, ROBLEM, you have something called as a ROBLEM. And